Hello everyone, my name is Anya Hawkins, welcome to my channel. This is a complete video tutorial for my Nivosa hat. Pattern suite is available for free on Ravelry. Right now I'm going to knit another sample of this hat, this time in different colors, and I invite you to join me. First I will tell you a little backstory about that design, and then we will knit it together step by step. Feel free to skip ahead using chapters navigation if you're interested only in the actual instructions or some particular part of the instructions. Also, I'm a continental knitter and I will demonstrate techniques in that way. First, there was this hat. I self-drafted it by combining different stitch patterns that I liked, and I did it for me, for fun, for myself, just because I like to knit stranded color work. But when I wear it, which is quite often, I always get compliments on it, because it's just so cute and festive. But there are things in it that I would have done differently if I would knit it again. So that's exactly what I did. I knitted this hat again, this time with different contrasting color, and I made it slouchier, the fit that is more timeless, more universal and more adult. And this one turned out so good, so comfortable and warm and pretty, and it just so in my taste that I just had to come back to it again now and make it into a pattern. I named it Nivosa Hat, which means snowy. It is my favorite hat in all of my collection, and it is very easy to knit, and the possibilities for different colors are just endless. And this time I will make a sample that will have very different look from original sample, because I'm using dark yarn as a background color and light yarn for snowflakes. So let's get to it. To knit Nivosa Hat, we will need decay weight yarn of two colors. Approximate yardage you can get from a pattern, but even for the largest size, there is no more than 50 grams of one color and 25 grams of another at the maximum. I will use this gray yarn as my background color and white yarn as contrasting color. We will also need circular needles for ribbing, bigger set for main body of the head, and needles for working small circumference for the crown. DPNs, 2 circulars or 1 long circular depending on what you have and prefer. I will use 1 long circular for magic loop. To get gauge you may need other sizes. Everyone's knitting style is different, so the needle sizes that you see on the screen and in the pattern are only recommendation. We will also need stitch marker to mark beginning of the round, tapestry needle to weave in the ends, and if you would use my cast on method you will need a crochet hook. You can use any cast on method you like, but if you want to get the exact same look as in the pattern photo, then do crochet cast on. I will demonstrate briefly how it is done. If you need more detailed instructions or information on how to fix mistakes, for example, in your pattern and info box down below there is a link for my crochet cast on tutorial. To cast on with a crochet hook, first we will need to make a slip knot. There are many ways to do one. I will show you the way I do it. I tension the yarn between my fingers, like I usually do in knitting. Then I place the hook on top, point it downward, and bring it up from underneath towards me. That creates this sliding loop of yarn. And then I grab the working yarn and pull it through this loop. This is our slip knot, adjusted, so it's not too loose and not too tight. It should slide around easily. Now tension the yarn between your fingers. Now take your knitting needle of a smaller size and place it on top of the yarn but under the hook. To give all of this stability, hold your tail end of the yarn with your thumb against your needle. To cast on with a crochet hook, we will need to repeat two-step process. First step, making a stitch. Grab the working yarn from your finger and pull it through the loop on your crochet hook. The stitch is done. The second step is to return to our working position. To do that, hold your newly done stitch with your thumb, slide your hands to the point of the needle, allow the yarn to jump off of the needle and get to the back again, and slide away from the point. This is our working position. Let's see those two steps again. First step, making a stitch. Grab the working yarn and pull it through the loop. Second step is to return to the working position. Hold your newly done stitch with your thumb, slide your hands to the point of the needle, allow the yarn to jump off the needle and get to the back again, and we are now in a working position. Repeat those 2 steps until you cast on the number of stitches that you need for your size. I cast on the number of stitches that I need for my size on my needle, and to make a neat join in the round, I need to cast on 1 more additional stitch. This is it on my crochet hook. I just transfer it to the needle. This last stitch will disappear once we join in the round. Now distribute stitches evenly on your needles. Make sure that they are not twisted anywhere around your needle. The cast on edge should be everywhere on the same side. This stitch that the tail end is coming out from is our first stitch. The stitch with the working yarn is our last stitch. Now take your first stitch and transfer it to the left needle. Take your last stitch. It stretches out easily. Pass it over your first stitch and drop it from the needle. Now pull on your working yarn tightly and return your first stitch back to the right needle. This is our joint. Place marker to mark the beginning of the round. Now we are ready to knit the brim of the hat. It is made in 1 by 1 rib, and we need to knit 1 stitch and then purl 1 stitch to the end of the round. The first round is done. Slip your stitch marker and then repeat this last round 14 or 16 times depending on the size you are knitting. Or if you don't want to count rounds, you can see in your pattern a schematic where you can see how many inches or centimeters there should be in a ribbon, and you can measure your work and stop knitting when you get enough length. I knitted the necessary amount of rounds for the ribbon, and on the first round for the body we need to change to the bigger needle. Stitch marker probably will fall off when we do that, so let's remove it temporarily. And now take your bigger needle and just knit with it to the end of the round. I knitted to the end of the round. The smaller needle we will not need again. Don't forget to put back your stitch marker. Now from the next round we will start colorwork pattern. Rounds number 2, 3, 4 and 5 worked from the chart A. Colorwork charts are easiest to follow because they look exactly like the fabric that you are knitting should look. And for the first round from chart A we will need to knit 1 main color, knit 1 contrasting color, knit 2 main color, knit 1 contrasting color and knit 1 main color. In my case, main color is darker, but in the chart it is the white square. So I will knit 1 and then I take my contrasting color yarn, and there are many ways to manage 2 yarns at the same time. I do it like that. I put both yarns on my forefinger and then I place my middle finger between them to separate them from each other, and then I tension them as I usually do with the rest of my fingers. In colorwork, depending on the way you're holding your yarns, you can get yarn dominance. With my close-handed continental style of knitting, yarn dominance is almost unnoticeable. Still, it is a good idea to always hold your yarns the same way. So let's get back to the chart. We knitted 1 stitch in main color, it is white square, and then we need to knit 1 stitch in contrasting color. For me it's white yarn. In a chart it is black square. Now we need to knit 2 stitches in main color. To get nice even looking and elastic fabric, every time you switch in between colors you should spread your stitches apart on the right needle, and while you're doing that, don't grip your yarns too tightly so the other yarn can form the float at the back of the fabric. And even if your color change is just 1 stitch, you should always spread your colorwork stitches on the right needle. If you will spread your stitches on the right needle after each color change, you will get the fabric that will have the same elasticity and the same gauge as your stockinette fabric. We knitted 1 repeat. If you mentally continue this line of chart, you can see that it is actually repeat of 2 stitches in main color and 1 stitch in contrasting color. 2 stitches in main color, spread them out, 1 stitch in contrasting color. If you're having trouble with your tension, there is a way of making stranded color work with only one color at a time, and it is a good way to learn how to get your floats at the back to be of a correct length without trouble of managing 2 yarns at the same time. If you want to give this technique a try, check out my beginner-friendly colorwork technique tutorial. Link for it is in your PDF pattern or down in the info box. I finished my first round of chart A. It ends with 1 stitch in contrasting color and 1 stitch in main color. Slip your stitch marker. And second round of chart A is knit 2 in contrasting color, knit 1 in main color, and knit 3 in contrasting color. This stitch is stretched out because it's the first one in that color. Just pull on the tail and it will get back to normal. Again, if you mentally will continue this line of chart, you can see that it is actually a repeat of 5 stitches in contrasting color and 1 stitch in main color. When there is a repeat of 5 stitches, the float at the back will be quite long, but I find that it is not so long that you will need to execute some special technique and catch it. When I just knitted 5 stitches, see how little space they take on this right needle, and if I will knit my main color stitch right away, the float at the back will force them to stay compressed like that. That's why you should always spread them out on the needle as wide as possible. And now continue working from the chart A in the same manner by yourself. I finished the last round of chart A, and now between chart A and chart B is 1 round in just main colored yarn. Leave contrasting color yarn to just hang where it is. We will take it up again on the next round. I finished my main color round, and now we will start working from the chart B. It is much wider and much longer, but it is worked by the same principle. Work all 20 rounds of chart B, and then I will see you again. I finished the last round of chart B, and now between it and the next chart is again 1 round in just main color yarn, and again we are leaving contrasting color yarn to just hang there, because we will take it up again on the next round. I finished my main color round, and now we will start working from the chart C. This one is quite simple, only 4 stitches wide, and some rounds are even in just 1 color. And the first and third round of this chart are just 1 stitch in main color and 1 stitch in contrasting color. And such rounds are deceptively easy. There is temptation to just rush through them, because it's easy to just take one yarn after another, but I remind you not to rush it, and always after each color change spread your stitches on the right needle as wide as they can go, because even floats that are 1 stitch wide can mess up the tension of your fabric. They should be nice and relaxed. And with this in mind, continue working from the chart C, and I will see you after it, and we will start the crown shaping. I finished last round of the chart C. Next round, it is round number 45 of the body of the head for all sizes. It is knit in main color to the end. For sizes S and M on the next round we will start crown shaping. For sizes L and XL there are 3 more rounds. Round 46 another plain round in main color. Round 47 knit 1 main color, knit 1 contrasting color. And round 48 knit main color, and then on the next round we will start crown shaping. We will shape the crown of the head in a handful of rounds. Round number 1 of crown shaping is knit 2 together, and then knit 2 to the end of the round. Second round of crown shaping is in color work, and it is knit 1 in main color, knit 1 in contrasting color to the end of the round. Third round is just knit to the end in main color. Next round, round number 4, is decrease round, and on this round the knitting will probably get too tight for 16-inch or 40 centimeters needle, so it is wise on this round to change to DPNs, or 2 short circulars, or 1 long circular, as I would do. And decreases are going like that: knit 2 together, and then knit 1 to the end of the round. And it doesn't matter where exactly you would divide your stitches between needles, it's not important. I knitted approximately half of the round, and then I would pull on this long cable needle to make magic loop. When changing needles, the stitch marker has a tendency to fall off, so I moved it to the fabric of the hat. Next round, round number 5 of crown shaping, will be the last round where there is color work. And it is again a round of knit 1 in main color, knit 1 in contrasting color, to the end of the round. I finished round number 5, and now we can cut contrasting color yarn, leaving a tail to weave in later. Put the tail inside so it will not get in the way. And next round of the crown shaping, round number 6, is just knit in main color to the end of the round. I finished round number 6 of the crown shaping, and now we are removing stitch marker, because we no longer need to know where the beginning of the round is. As our next step in shaping the crown, we are going to knit 2 together until there are 6 or 8 stitches remain on the needles. If you're having a hard time getting into both stitches that you are going to knit together, you can stretch them out a little first, and then it will be easier. I knitted around the hat one time, and there are still too many stitches, so I'm continuing to knit them together until I will get to the desired number. I knitted 2 stitches together until I am left with 7 stitches, and now we need to close them. Cut the yarn, leave a tail of approximately 6 inches or 15 centimeters, feed this tail into tapestry needle, and feed it through remaining stitches. Pull to close the stitches. I like to go around the same stitches one more time to make it even more secure. And to bring this tail inside, just stick your needle right into the middle and pull it inside. And now we need to weave in the tails, make a couple of stitches across, and now we will weave in this tail, catching purl bumps on a diagonal line, changing direction at least one time. Pull on your fabric to make sure that the tail is not scrunching it up, and cut it. Weave other tails the same way. When you're weaving in contrasting tails, make sure that you're not pulling on them too much, because otherwise your last stitch may disappear. Be careful so it will not happen. Same thing with this tail. Make sure that the corresponding stitch will not disappear. The last tail is this one from the cast on edge. In it we will just weave into the column of knit stitches of the ribbon. And this is it. This is your finished hat. Wet blocking it will help you even out stitches even more. And this gathered crown is perfect for topping with pom-pom. And you can do it out of leftover yarn using pom-pom maker or sew it out of artificial fur. Well, that was it for this tutorial. The hat is done. This is the finished result. By the way, I lined this hat with polyester fleece. I always do that with all of my hats to make them windproof and to protect my forehead from contacting itchy yarn. And you can do that too if you want to. It's quite easy. If you're interested in trying, I have a tutorial on how to do that. Also, I have a video tutorial on how to make this kind of pom-pom. All links in your PDF pattern as well as down in the info box. Thank you for watching and I will see you soon. Bye!